Hey, it's Gregory Callenberg from the Louisiana Film Prize. I cannot tell you how excited I am being here doing interviews with our top 20 filmmakers. These filmmakers will be competing for $25,000 cash. You, the audience, will come to Film Prize. That is September 30th through October 2nd, see the films and help vote for our big cash winner. And speaking of the potential of one of our filmmakers winning that big cash prize, we have one of those filmmakers here. Please welcome to the virtual stage, give them a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, Kari Kennon. Hey, Kari.
Hey.
Hey, so Kari, if we could, why don't we start with you talking a bit about Hard Up, just kind of tell people about what it's about and no spoilers, please.
No spoilers. Hard Up is the story of a basically the hero of the small town of Beaufort passes away and his widow is picking up the pieces, and it's got a little bit of a murder mystery vibe. We don't know exactly how he passed away, but it's a dark comedy, and it's you know, if I wanted to be grandiose, I would say it was Tennessee Williams meets True Blood, but that would be if I was just being really grandiose. So
yes, and if you and if you stuck vampires in there somewhere, so it's but again, no spoilers on the vampire or werewolf aspect of it. Let's talk a bit about how this project was born, because you went on a definitely an interesting path that mirrored another one of your successful films.
This was just something that honestly, like, my mom wrote fast forward style, and she wrote this script, and I like directing stuff that's not personal to me. And so we sat on this script for a year, you know, and basically due to being quarantined and stuff, we were so restless come, you know, April and May. We were just like, okay, let's do it. We're just gonna, you know, despite COVID concerns and all that, we had the right people in place. So we decided to do it.
You know, it's interesting. I think that you have a very successful mother-daughter relationship, in the sense that you guys have produced now 2 very successful projects for the Film Prize. Can you talk about that relationship?
I would just like to say that you know, my mom is not a professional writer. She's not a screenwriter. She, you know, for better or for worse, she's able to tap into a certain niche of the population that I am, as a writer, am unable to, such as puns, and her sense of humor is kind of generational. And so I like directing things that she writes, because it's not, you know, it's a way to kind of get outside of me. But yeah, it was really challenging working together, because we had been, you know, after COVID, it's like things had stagnated so much, and then, you know, we put this together in 20 days. And for the most part, our casting, we were like 95%, you know, resonating with each other on casting decisions. Like Donnie McKay, we were like, oh, you know, he's just got this sweet wholesomeness and like hilarious, you know, we like right off the bat, you know, he had auditioned for us 2 years ago, and we were like, we want him back, you know. And so we agreed on a lot of stuff, but it is really, you know, it's really challenging when she doesn't have a lot of on-set experience. So for her to trust me that I had the best interest of the project at heart, you know, was a little bit hard, but for her, I mean, I'm happy with how it came out.
Well, you know, I mean, let's talk a bit about that cast. I mean, if you look at that cast, it's definitely an ensemble of Film Prize veterans. I'm curious how you collected all those people, and you know, how you sort of directed them in ways so that they work so well together.
From my improv background, like I am very concerned about people agreeing on where they are. And my mom didn't write a location of this story, but it's clearly a heightened reality. So I just went ahead and named the town Beaufort because it was one of those kind of like, it was just something that made sense in the moment. But anyway, so it was just a way for us to have a consensus on the vibe that I was aiming for. Like, this is our genre. These are some words that come to mind. Can we have an agreement on what this town would be called? And, Josh Hyers, Patrick Curtin, Tanya McMaster, Jennifer Carcillo, Elise Birmingham, James Palmer, all these guys, they all just, they're just naturally really good actors. And because they were kind enough to show up for a table read, there was that little extra bit of like melding that happened. So I was just really thrilled to work with people of such talent level. And, that's what I could care less about what the content is sometimes if I'm working with really cool people. Like, just let it be known. I will direct something that your grandma writes or someone writes, like if it means like watching Jeremy Spring's work in the monitor, it's nice to get out of the house after all this past year.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that shooting experience, right? I mean, it's definitely a different world. We were lucky enough through Film Prize to put out guidelines for being safe, or as safe as you can be with the COVID shooting guidelines. Our filmmakers, as far as we are aware, all followed those guidelines. But I am curious about that on-set experience and what that was like for you and what that was like for the cast in making this film.
I know for me, I felt like a wreck for about a very significant period afterwards. It was extremely, it was hard. It was hard because I'm not a naturally aggressive person. But, when you're running out of, you're in the middle of the woods, you're blocking John George's driveway, you're running out of battery power on something, you're running out of gas on your show car, and, one of your actors has a headache, and it's like, you're trying to get that thing done, and it requires a lot of aggression. I mean, it requires, and, John George allowed, he kind of gave us permission to film, but I didn't know exactly how close to his driveway we were going to be. So, it was just kind of, it's always, fortunately I had Alana Kennon and on board, and she and Jeremy Spring have worked together a lot. And there were times when I really did hand things over to, it was kind of like threading a needle. It's like, here, Alana, you take the needle. I'm going to go untangle this over here. And so, I mean, I really try my best to set my ego aside and not micromanage, and just be like, hey, you guys are clearly communicating better and faster, and we need to get out of here. So you make the decisions, like you decide the shot list for this part of the scene, So, I mean, maybe that's just, that's just how we got through it. 'Cause it was stressful. It was stressful.
So I talked about at the podium how I was honestly shocked at how many films were turned in for this year's Film Prize, and the quality being so high. So it's a tremendous honor for you and for us to have Hard Up in the Film Prize finals. I'm curious what that was like when you heard your name called as part of the top 20 for 2021.
Oh man, well, I was in class, and it was my first class of we have 5 10-week terms a year for the MBA program that I'm in, and they're in person. And so I couldn't leave, and left my phone in the car. Then at the break around 7 something, I was like, I got to get the phone out of the car. And then, basically people are saying something about skip ads, and I'm like in an accounting class, and they're like telling me like, did you direct something called skip? So I wasn't, anyway, that was a typo. And then somebody told me, oh, your film was announced. And so I was fit to be tied. I was like fit to be tied. I said, I've got to get out of this classroom. And I'm not sure if my professor knew what I was talking about. Because when people don't know when people don't know the Louisiana Film Prize, I'm kind of like, you mean your life doesn't revolve around this too? Like because like there are some people that really don't know what that is, and that are living around here. And so anyway, I bolted out of there. By the time I got downtown, it was pretty much wrapped up. So.
Well, the important part is, Kari, is you're going to be competing for that $25,000. And there is this moment on Sunday. I know that you've experienced before where, a big check hits the stage. I invite, everyone who's involved with the film prize to the stage, and together we get to announce a name, right? And that name of that film wins $25,000 cash. If Hard Up is on that check, and Hard Up is the name that we call, what does that mean to you, and what do you do with that $25,000?
I would like for Jeremy Spring to have like his own, Jeremy Spring's camera was stolen. So I would think like, hey, maybe let's put this towards like a Troupe camera, that would be in Jeremy's keeping. It would be some kind of infrastructure, not infrastructure, but some sort of, if you don't have gear, it's like having some gear gives you an extra little anchor in the world. So I would say like maybe a piece of gear that Jeremy and I could share. That's probably what I would put it towards, or I would, that's been my primary idea. So
that's very kind of you. So to kind of build out your own little studio, it sounds like.
Yeah. Something that would, we want, like, ultimately I'd like to have some kind of like, a theater has a season, like ultimately like the group that I end up working with, like I want us to have a little more of a plan so we're not flying by the seat of our pants so much. But yeah, I think, that deadline comes around every year, and it's really ingrained in us. If we could just kind of build in a little bit of structure to get the most out of that deadline, sometimes last minute things come up and they're still fun too. So
I love that so much. Hey, well, listen, are you willing to do a little Viva La Film Prize to get us out?
Sure.
Okay, hang on. Have a sip of your coffee. I just want to let everyone know that Louisiana Film Prize is September 30th through October 2nd. You can see the films at LA. You can see the films at prizefest.com. You can also get tickets for the festival at prizefest.com. Remember, this year we are requiring proof of vaccine or proof of a negative COVID test. That's a super important thing. Again, Louisiana Film Prize tickets are at prizefest.com. You can come down, see the films September 30th through October 2nd. I think I got it right that time, which is good. You ready, Kari? We're going to get out with a Viva La Film Prize. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Viva La Film Prize!
That was Kari Kennon. She's with Hard Up. Come see the films. Prizefest.com is where you get your tickets. Louisiana Film Prize, September 30th through October 2nd. Thank you so much, Kari. Have a great day, and we will see you at the prize.